A British court has opened the door for Wikileaks founder Julian Assange to be extradited to the United States. Judges in London have overturned a previous ruling that blocked Assange's extradition on mental health grounds, following an appeal by Washington. The U.S. wants to put the Wikileaks founder on trial for publishing classified military documents relating to the Iraq and Afghanistan wars. Assange is expected to appeal. For more on this verdict that allows for the extradition of Julian Assange, we are joined by Professor Nils Melzer, Special Rapporteur on Torture at the UNHCR. He also wrote a book on the plight of Mr. Assange. Welcome, sir, to DW. What are your first thoughts?
Well, it's disappointing, of course, especially to get such disastrous news on International Human Rights Day, because this judgment clearly goes against anything that the Universal Declaration of Human Rights stands for. Now, I'm not surprised that this happens because I've investigated this case personally. I have visited Mr. Assange in prison in Belmarsh 2 years ago. And what I can see is that throughout the last decade, his human rights have been violated systematically at all stages of every legal proceedings he has been exposed to. So what we see here is now that the appeals court has allowed the U.S. appeal, which basically means that they have opened the door to his extradition if the UK government agrees to extradite him to the United States.
What recourse does Assange have at this point? What's next?
Well, he can still appeal to the UK Supreme Court, but what we have to see here is that the High Court is obviously a very high-level court in the UK, and also it has been presided by the Lord Chief Justice of England and Wales, which is the highest-placed judge in the UK. So the UK Supreme Court can decline to hear the appeal, so it's not a given that it will hear that appeal.
So clearly the case is not over, but what precedent does this verdict set, viewed in isolation?
Well, I think it's extremely dangerous because what essentially is being done is that the only issue that has been discussed at the appeal stage is whether the U.S. guarantees regarding its detention conditions, which were considered to be oppressive by the first instance judge, whether they can be rendered humane by diplomatic assurances. What was not discussed, which is really the elephant in the room in this case, is press freedom. Why is Julian Assange in prison in the first place, given that all he has done is what investigative journalists do all around the world every day, publishing true information about government misconduct?
So the fight goes on for Mr. Assange's supporters. I can certainly hear it in your voice. But how much fight does Mr. Assange himself have left?
Well, I cannot speak for him. I'm not his lawyer. I'm obviously not, but I knowing him a little bit, I would suspect that he is very resilient. He certainly believes in his cause. But one other thing that his legal team can do and should do is to cross-appeal against that first instance judgment in January to bring all those issues of press freedom and human rights violations and due process to the fore in the next instance court.
That is Professor Nils Melzer. Many, many thanks for your time and perspective, sir.
Thank you very much.